Hello to all of you dear friends. I hope you are all well. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to channel, Freedom in Humanity. Please subscribe to my channel after watching the video. This video is the 7th part of the subject of prophets of God. This video is about the prophet of God Esmail. Please stay with us until the end of this video. Esmail is one of the prophets of God and the son of Abraham, Khalil, and brother of Isaac. According to most Muslims, it is the slaughter. The lineage of the prophet of Islam also goes back to Esmail. Emigration to Mecca with his mother Hagar, the creation of the Zamzam spring with his blessing, his sacrifice by his father and the construction of the Kaaba are some of the most important events in his life. Word of Esmail. His letter is found in dictionaries, often non-Arabic and consisting of the words hearing and tribe meaning God, and it is said that Abraham began to speak with these words when the child asked God. Arthur Jeffrey, in his research on this letter, has mentioned its ancient roots and has shown similarity in Hebrew, Abyssinian, and other Semitic languages. Esmail in the Quran. Esmail's letter is mentioned 11 times in the Quran. Learned. In the Quran, Esmail, along with prophets such as Idris and Dhu al-Kuflo, is considered patient, and some commentators have considered Esmail to be sacrificed as one of the obvious signs of his patience. Esmail's life story. According to narrative sources, the story of Esmail's life states that Sarah, Abraham's wife, because she was infertile and saw her husband as interested in having a child, made Hagar's maidservant his wife so that she might have a child. Hagar became pregnant with Abraham and gave birth to a child, whom they named Esmail. In many narrations, the divine good news about the birth of the children of Alim and Halim for Ibrahim, which is mentioned in verses of the Quran, is considered as good news for the birth of Esmail, and he is considered to have these attributes. Although according to various narrations, there is an opinion about the birth of Esmail when his father was old, but there is a difference of opinion about the age of Ibrahim at that time, and some have considered him to be 99 years old when Esmail was born. Esmail and Isaac. It is narrated that after the birth of Esmail, Sarah, who had no children of her own, became jealous of Hagar and her son, but she later, with the good news of God, gave birth to a child in her old age, whom they named Isaac. According to the narrations, Ibrahim, who loved Esmail very much, once had Isaac on his lap, saw Esmail, and replaced him with Isaac. This aroused the fire of Sarah's anger, and she expressed her nostalgia for the presence of Hagar and her son with Abraham, and forced her husband to drive them away from the Levant. Then the Lord commanded Abraham to take Hagar and Esmail to Mecca. Arrival in Mecca. Abraham took Hagar and Esmail with him, and to guide them, God guided Gabriel until they reached the barren land, which was Mecca, and then Gabriel informed Abraham that God's promise was there. After entering Mecca, Ibrahim left his wife and child there in the protection of God and took the road back to Syria. Zamzam well. In the continuation of the story, it is stated that when the food ran out, The thirst overcame the child, and Hajar ran in every direction to find the water that quenched the thirst of the child, and walked the path from Safa to Marwa 7 times and found nothing. The last time he heard a sound from Esmail, he ran towards the child for fear that the predator would harm the child, but with great joy he realized that water was flowing under the child's base, and this was the same spring that later became known as Zamzam. In some sources, that water is also called Ismail's well. Learning Arabic. In Arabic sources, the point that links Ismail's fate to the fate of the Arab people is that he is associated with the Arab tribe of Ba'ida and has become Arabiized, which portrays Ismail's character as an Arab immigrant. According to the narrations, sometime after Ismail's migration to Mecca, thanks to the presence of the Zamzam spring, that arid region became habitable, and the criminals who passed by on their way, or according to a tradition, were near Mecca at that time. Aware of the existence of water, they settled in that place with permission. It is narrated that Ismail learned Arabic near Jarma, and even when he spoke to his father during the construction of the Kaaba, Ibrahim spoke in his own language and Ismail understood Arabic. Ismail's Arabic's language has received so much attention in the narrations that he is sometimes considered to be the first person to speak Arabic. In some narrations, even the first Arabic script has been attributed to him. Construction of the House of Kaaba. One of the most important events in the story of Ismail's life is his association with Abraham in the construction of the House of Kaaba. Regarding the Quran, which refers to the establishment of the house of God and its dressing up of evils by Abraham and Ismail, Islamic narrations have elaborated on this story. According to the sources, Ibrahim came to Mecca to fulfill the divine command regarding the establishment of the Kaaba, and Ismail, together with his father, started the construction of the Kaaba. During the construction of the Kaaba, Ismail, along with his father, prayed, participated in seeking guidance from his descendants and asking them to inspire the Holy Prophet from among them. Sacrificing Ismail. In the narrative detail of the story of the slaughter, we find that after the construction of the Kaaba, Ibrahim, after receiving the divine command to slaughter in a dream, raises it with the child and he obeys the divine command. According to the narration, Ibli, when he learned that Ibrahim and his son had taken the road to Mount Thabur to carry out the command, tried to deceive Ismail, and when he did not succeed, he went to Hajar and tried hard to deceive him, but failed. Abraham and Ismail reached the top of the mountain, and when Ismail saw his father worried about it, he took the worry out of his heart and expressed his satisfaction with obeying the divine command. So when Ibrahim put the knife to Ismail's throat, the unseen voice prevented him from continuing. The command came that God, in return for their patience and truthfulness, ransomed the sheep, and commissioned Abraham to sacrifice the sheep instead of Ismail. The story of Ismail's sacrifice is mentioned in the Quran. Death and burial place. Stone of Ismail, the tomb of Hagar and Ismail. Narrative sources state that Ismail was 130 years old and even older, and that after his death, his body was buried in the Hijra area next to the grave of his mother, Hagar. The prophecy of Ishmael. According to the Quran, Ishmael was one of the divine prophets, and his religion was in line with the monotheistic call of Abraham and against polytheism and idolatry. His letter has been mentioned many times in the Quran as one of the prophets. According to the narrations, his prophecy was to guide the criminals, as well as the Yemenite and Amalek tribes. For 50 years, he performed the divine mission among them, called them to prayer and zakat, and warned them against worshipping idols, but they persisted in their disbelief, except for a small group. Isaac succeeds Ishmael. Before his death, Ishmael bequeathed his daughter to marry Isa, son of Isaac, and handed over the prophecy to his brother Isaac. Ishmael, who was in charge of the affairs of the house of Kaaba for many years, entrusted the care of the Kaaba to his nephew. Descendants of Ishmael. According to historical accounts, Ishmael had 12 sons, the most famous of whom were Kedar, Medina and Adabillah. Medina migrated to the land in the north, known by his own name as the land of Medina, and from his descendants Shoab was chosen as a prophet. In the above-mentioned sources, Ishmael is also considered as one of the main ancestors of the Arabs, and the lineage of Adnan, the ancestor of a large part of the Arab tribes, goes back to him, while a minority of the ancient genealogical sources have traced the lineage of all the tribes, even the Cottoni Arabs, and called the Ismailis Abu al-Arab. According to several narrations, Ishmael, along with Hud, Saleh, Shoab, and Muhammad, peace be upon him, is one of the 5 Arab prophets, and the Holy Prophet is known as the chosen one of his descendants. Thank you dear friends for watching this video. Please support me by subscribing, liking, activating notifications for future videos, your comments, and introducing this channel to your friends. Be happy in any case. Freedom in humanity.